Not even close to being within 1,000 miles of being the sworn enemy of lying, pomposity, smugness, and groupthink that Tucker Carlson is, I, Mel McGinnis, still will think clearly, reason soundly about the issues that pertain to politics and religion. A young man wrote a lengthy document. And according to Jack Cashill, the person who wrote it said to himself, "Are you a Christian?" "No. I do not ask God for salvation by faith, nor do I confess my sins to him. I personally believe there is no afterlife." That was written by the killer in Buffalo. I've been listening to the press linking Tucker Carlson to the killing. Such nonsense. Why don't we get to the core of what's really the issue? And if Jack Cashill is correct, the core has to do with the spirit of a young man who says, "I do not ask God for salvation by faith." Now, I'm not saying that everyone who says that goes to a Tops market and obliterates people. But when you see something like that within a manifesto, you can see that this person has severe spiritual problems. We keep talking about mental health. Yeah, and there is that issue, but it doesn't get to the core. The core has to do with where he wasn't at with God by not asking him for salvation, by not asking him for forgiveness of sins. You examine a little more about him, and you would think that for the media at large, this guy was a right-winger, that this guy watched Fox News constantly, but he really hated Fox News. You dig in a little more, and I appreciate what Glenn Beck has had to say. That is, this guy said green nationalism is the only true nationalism. And he also said conservatism is dead. Thank God. Saying it glibly, with a small case G. Now let us bury it and move on to something else. He started out as a communist, but over time defined himself as a mild, moderate, authoritarian left category. And in addition to that said, if you want to call me an ethno-nationalist, eco-fascist, national socialist, if you want, I wouldn't disagree with you. The guy was on the left. I appreciate what Jack Cashill had to say. If you want to link somebody to him, link Greta Thunberg. You know, that teen who spoke at the United Nations about the world becoming more green. But Cashill said to link her to his rampage is as absurd as linking Tucker Carlson to it. We really need to get down to the core of where people are at. And for some reason, there's just this aversion to speaking about things spiritually and only keeping it at the level of the mental. Yeah, there's problems there, but even the mental has a root problem, the spiritual. We need to get to the spiritual when we talk about politics. The two are interlinked. You can't separate them. They're distinct. But to separate one from the other is foolishness. That's why we look at the Word of God and have it speak into every single area of our lives, including politics and economics, the social, as well as the spiritual. Well, unlike Tony Kornheiser, I'm not out of time. But unlike him as well, I cannot promise you that I'll do better the next time.